Oh, yesterday, Tottenham Hotspur nil, Chelsea 2. Great performance, but obviously we've got to address the elephant in the room, the racism towards Tony Rudiger. I'm not quite sure what to say. Brought up in a part of London where, when I was a little lad, there were hardly any people of colour about, and all of a sudden there were loads because of the immigration when they were brought, well, asked to come to Britain to do the jobs that white people, I'll say white, we're not white, are we? Like black people aren't black. Um, just in case I offend someone. Pink off red. Um, yeah, all of a sudden we needed to integrate. And there were a lot of problems initially. There was a lot of racism. I didn't realise how much because I was a little kid. Um, I saw stuff at Chelsea like John Barnes and Luther Blissett at Watford being pelted by bananas. Um, but prior to that, when there was first people of colour that I remember in London, there were lots of problems. They were met with a lot of racism because I don't care what anyone says, the human race is tribal, and you've got a load of white people, and all of a sudden you've got a load of black people. Um, they don't integrate. They don't integrate. What they do is it's like British people. I've just done some gigs out in the south of France, and you've got areas where there's groups of British people. They congregate together. They still speak to the French, but I'm convinced the human race is tribal, which is probably why it's got on so well in some ways. It's a two-edged sword. But yeah, my point is that once people of colour and white people started talking, they realised there's not an awful lot of difference between us culturally. We might like fish and chips, and some of their culture they might like curried goat. And I've been to a few West Indian parties, and I'm telling you something, the curried goat is nice. Um, I played football in a predominantly black football team, Limbury Boys Club from Luton, and a great bunch of lads, really great bunch of lads. And my best friend is from Jamaican descent, and we're just the same. We like our football. We love our families. Uh, there's just no difference. Yet if we'd met, not when I was a kid, but in that part of London, in our part of London, in Battersea, back in sort of 1967, say, he would have been getting dogs abuse, and quite understandably would have lashed out probably against the whites. Poor bloke still gets dogs abuse now. We ended up having a fight one night because people were giving him so much stick, and it was me that lost my rag with him. Just plain bigotry, just plain lack of intelligence, not education. I watch these football pundits. Oh, people need to be educated. No, they don't. They don't. People of colour and white people have been living next to each other, integrating, whichever you want to call it, for long enough now. If you hate someone just because they've got a different skin colour to you, it's not lack of education, it's lack of intelligence. You're a bigot. Um, I can't stand it. A few years ago, I joined a political party. It seemed to me to be a good party that I agreed with most of what they said. I never had an inkling that um, a lot of it was based on. It was a nationalist party, but I didn't see what the name nationalism really meant then. But when and none of the people in it I would actually call racist. But when I heard that most of the main leaders were ex National Front, I resigned. Um, and I had no reason to think they hadn't changed, and people can change, but I didn't want the association, and so I don't know what we're going to do about these morons. It's not the fault of the football club. It's like Brian Clough said: people don't become hooligans at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, and finish at 5. Same with racists. So I'm guessing that they need to be nicked, but I think they need to spend time with people of colour, maybe doing community projects where you can talk to someone and find out that you're not different at all. That would probably be the way forward for me, because it's an intelligence thing and not really an education thing, and not really a punishment thing. You can punish someone, but if they've got a thought or a mindset, how's it going to change by being punished? If anything, it's going to make it even worse. So they need to be punished, but punished in a way where they get something out of it and maybe change their minds, and then change the way they talk to their children, because that's the legacy that they're leaving, a bigotry, and that's what we need to address. So, I mean, someone said, I think it was Gary Neville, I watched him on Sky, he said, oh yeah, we need to get the government involved. Government involved? Boris Johnson calling people pickaninnies, and some of the Labour Party, making racist comments. Even some of their people of colour in the Labour Party come out with outrageous statements. David Lammy and Diane Abbott. Supposedly you can't have reverse racism, but if you could, they'd be at the forefront. I don't think it's a government thing. I think it is just getting people to talk, to realise that we're all the same. So it's a shame that we're talking about racism, isn't it? But it needed to be addressed, because it's overshadowed what was a brilliant performance by Chelsea. I watched that game yesterday, and I was quite frankly gobsmacked by how good we were. And right away through the team, I gave everyone at least an 8. I thought Willian was absolutely superb. I gave him a 9.5. And I have to laugh, because Willian has got some real haters who are supposedly Chelsea supporters. They don't support him as a Chelsea player. He got some real haters, and on Twitter yesterday when I said how good he was, I got people saying, well, I can name at least 5 games where he wasn't. These people don't know how to support, do they? They just... he was sublime yesterday. I think he's been good all season. Obviously there's been a few games where he's not got his crosses past that first man, which has been infuriating. But I think he's worked on. That. Yesterday and the goal. What a goal! Yeah, you can look at the defending, you can pick apart anything, but the finish was sublime. His whole game, that touch we pulled out of the air. Well deserved man of the match, and yeah, only just beat Mason Mount. Mason Mount run his socks off yesterday, and if you're playing a high pressure game, which we were, Mason Mount has to be in the team. That is what he does best. He's got like a Kante knack of knowing where the ball's going, and if he gets it wrong, he chases it. So hats off to Mason Mount, another one that's got his haters out there from some of our supporters who will have a go at him, young lad, and they'll have a go at him at any available opportunity. If he has a bad game, I'll say he has a bad game, but he is what he is. He's a young lad, and he is gonna have good and bad. We're human as well, so unlike some of you lot out there who slag these people off consistently. Um, if you have a bad day at work, you haven't got, I don't know, was it 21 cameras yesterday on you? We're human beings, we can have a bad day. You still got to support the players and you still got to support the club. Marco Alonso was excellent, um, which is more than I can say for Anthony Taylor. What was he doing? He gave a free kick to Tottenham for what was basically a Bruce Lee move on Marco Alonso. I've never seen anything like it. It was a flight. Well, I have seen it because Schumacher in the World Cup, Germany's goalkeeper, he did a similar sort of thing. I think Anthony Taylor should just be taken straight off the referees list because, to be honest, I think Stevie Wonder would have spotted that was a penalty. They had to go to VAR. VAR for a fly, for just taking a man out. Oh dear. Shocking. Anthony Taylor, you are a disgrace to the referee's profession. Absolutely shocking. Rudiger was excellent at the back. Well, let's go to do for Alonso. I thought he was great yesterday because in that system, we've said all season going forward, he's excellent. Probably could have done with him actually against Bournemouth to help open up because they're having to deal with someone else, aren't they? Someone extra. Dave was excellent yesterday. Didn't have to go too far past the halfway line. That's where he's in his element. He is a top defender, even though again he's got the people out there that horses for courses. There's some games when we should play Reece games and some games when we should play Aspie. Simple as that. In my humble opinion. At the back, Rudy was excellent. So was Tamori, and so was Zuma. Zuma didn't put a foot wrong yesterday, and his physicality told. I loved seeing the way he got about people. Rudy, the Son incident. Yeah, Rudy did make a meal of it. Let's not beat about the bush. But Son did kick out, and if you kick out, that is a red card. End of story. Sorry, Jose, you can be as sarcastic as you like. I'd love to look at some of your, particularly your Porto side, some of the dark arts they got up to, and let's be sarcastic about that, shall we? Because I'll be sarcastic about it all morning if I analyse some of the things that Porto got up to. So talk about, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. That's the way I look at Jose's comments. And the middle, Kante was Kante. He was everywhere, wasn't he? Kovacic, superb. Tammy Abraham held the ball up well. Can't fault him. Whether he's worth 150 grand a week yet, I'm not sure. I like to see a player do it for at least a season, maybe two, before they get these big pay rises. But I suppose they're worried about losing him. My attitude would be, if you really want to go that bad, let him go. That's be my attitude if I was negotiating with him. Just scoring, it was 11 goals in 16 games. Yeah, well done. But let's see if you can do it consistently before you get the big wages. Have I missed anyone? Have I missed anyone out? Probably. But no, to a man, they were superb. Old Kepa, I haven't got to say much about him. He didn't have much to do, did he? Really? That's how good the men in front of him were. So yeah, well done, Chelsea. Onwards and upwards. Let's hope they can produce the same against Southampton. And I'll tell you what as well, big hats off to the away support yesterday. You were superb. And you thoroughly deserved the players' attentions at the end of the game. So well done, everyone involved in that game yesterday. You were top notch. Come on, Chelsea. Oh, and have a Merry Christmas out there, you folks. Speak to you after boxing.